Alright, hey, what's up guys? This is Team Hard Life Captain Zertuche here, and I just got in some spools of cable yesterday, and I don't know, something about it is telling me I should measure them. Not saying it's from the company or have anything to do with that, it's just another opportunity to check, another company's numbers, you know what I mean? So, right here, I just pulled off the plastic, and it says it's 500 foot, there you go, 500 foot of the 480 pound cable right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on my spool line counter here, and I'm gonna download it all of it. Yes, 500 feet of that, because we got in a whole bunch of hooks, and we've got to make a bunch of hooks in preparation for the shark tournament that's coming up. And just want to remind everybody again, we are going to be matching other stores' pricing on fishing tackle. If they have sales going on, we'll match or beat their pricing. So
gotta bite. I think I got a lot of stress on my mind. It's a nice day to go. Yeah, I gotta line. I'ma call the whole team.
There we go. There's the line counter, and let's go and get this done. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. Okay, here we go. Let me take off the brakes because I don't need any right now. Oh, dang it. I just threw it off, so let me backtrack a little bit here. There you go, there's the beginning. Zero out my line counter. Here we go. What do we got? 173 yards. So that translates to, not had my coffee this morning, so math is beyond me right now, for the most part. So 173 times 3, 519 feet. Good deal. I'll take that. Bonus buy. There's all the cable all strung out all over the floor. But this is step one of making a whole bunch of gear. Yes, sir. It's a lot of cable. Then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. Alright, now that I've got that, I'm going to go and find the two ends. Why are you on? I turned two off. Okay. Match those up. Just tie a simple loop here, so that way I can stage it. So that way these two ends don't move. And if they do move, they move together. You can't pull one more than the other one. And I'm going to hang it so that way I can control a lot more cable. Doing is just bringing it together, because what I'm going to do is find the middle portion of the opposite end, and then once I do that, I'm going to cut it. That way I can make two sections of 250 feet or whatever, and then I'll do it one more time, so I'm cutting 4 pieces of cable at once. This is so that way I can mass produce a bunch of drops or a set of hook sections or bite sections for our big rig shark leaders. Middle section. I'm going to cut here. I'm going to grab my end section over here. Put these together. See all the cable down there. I might do this twice just because I kicked one of the cables right now. So I'm just going to break it apart so that way I can go through it easier on this run. I think I'm off. I don't want to cut it because then I could either lose a whole drop or just waste cable. And I'm going to have a little bit of cut off or waste at the end. However, this is going to save me a lot of time rather than going piece by piece by piece trying to get it cut. As long as I can get this out in a reasonable amount of time, I should be good to go. And this technique I started doing because I was working out of my garage, or when I first started my fishing tackle, and I was like, man, I gotta do 1,000 liters. How am I gonna do that quickly? So I was like, well, what if I start stringing it out like this and do this and this? So I started these little techniques and stuff like that, and that's where I came up with these ideas from. I can get these to come undone because they should go parallel. There shouldn't be any twist in them. Getting it. Yep. See? Told you I cut. I kicked the line, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through it one more time. Okay. There we go. Now that I've got my 2 loops, I don't mind being that far off, but I didn't mind that bigger loop right there. So now I can set up to cut 4 cables at a time and make my job a lot easier. Let's see, so maybe I'll do 8 cables. Yeah, I can do that. And even if the cutters don't get it all on the first bite, I can just do 2 cuts side by side and be all right. Yeah, let's just stretch it out a little bit more. Bucket or a box so I can stage the cables in as soon as I cut them. I'm going to make a copy of one of the drop sections, just so I know, or a pattern, should I say. It's going to be my pattern cut. All of them will measure up to this one. And the reason you want to use one as a pattern cut, because if you go and you lose one of your pattern cuts and you go to a higher one or to the next one, it'll slowly grow on you, and you'll end up losing or having a whole bunch of them that are all way off. You'll end up being like that by the end of the day if you're cutting that many of them. That was a hard lesson I had to learn. I kept messing up, so I had to use one at a time, or one pattern for everything. Like I'm gonna have to untangle that and get this last cut. But even then, double check your work, guys. You don't want them to be off. Even though you feel like you had a good control over it, you can tell right there by me just jingling the line. It gave me different lengths. Same line, or is it two different lines? Which don't matter as long as I'm getting same line, which is fine. Another line there. That is weird. How the hell I did that, but I did it. I'll show you here in just a second how the hell that happened, but it did. An example right here, I don't know how that happened. Oh, that's why. No, I still don't know. Hold on. So I got that little bit of waste right there. I gotta figure out why this line. That is weird. This line is one line that is totally like 3 times the length of the other portions there, so I have no idea how that happened. I really don't. Folded everything in half once, folded it again twice, and then I started cutting on the twice one. That's the remaining right there. So. But all of those are the length I needed. There you go, guys. That's all 3-foot sections right there. Look like a bunch of mess, but I'm turning it into money. I'm using the 750 or the 750 pound test of the 4/0 stainless steel swivels for these. And I've got the 1.9 double mini sleeves that we'll be using to crimp. I actually kind of woke up excited today. I was thinking of all the liters we got to put out because all this came in. Hard life. No worries, no worries. Well, I mean, it works for some, not for all, but we'll definitely get you on the right reel that you do want once they do all sell. And I know he's got your paperwork. Yeah, no, I know he's got your paperwork stored here, but I'm okay, the slide plate is there for extra security, because when you're fighting a fish and you turn and you bump, say, the lever drag, if there's that side plate there, it won't keep it from going into free spool and or keep it from going into lockdown. With the side plate, yes, so you have to, that little indentation that you have to hit to get the slide plate to go into those two functions. And that's a big thing because, like, or somebody may not be paying attention, reach across your rod to help you out, and they throw it into free spool right in the middle of a fight. Yeah, no, I understand that, but what I'm saying is when you're on the fight, it's, you know, people try to help you out, or you're moving a rod around and you accidentally bump it. Well, without that lever drag there and that little, or that side plate, if that little indentation ain't there, it'll slip into free spool. And then, no, I would buy it with it just for that reason, because like I said, when you're fighting a fish and you're up and down and you ain't moving right or left, you're cool. But if he goes around the boat and you're moving around the boat, there's a chance that you could put it into lockdown, or you can throw it into free spool on accident. I know because I've done it before on my buddy's reel that didn't have the slide plate. So no. Yeah, tuna is a whole nother ball game by itself, bro. It is. Those fish, okay, in order of like, in order to, I mean, yes, okay, let me correct my deal. Yes, you can land a fish with it. Yes, you can land a tuna with it. However, do you really want to ask yourself, how long do you want to fight that fish for? When you don't have enough drag to back it up, you're going to be 2 to 3 hours into one fish, and then you're done. Like, you're like, man, I'm tired. Like, and then there goes 5-6 hours of recoup time, where if you have enough drag and a big reel, you can horse them in 5 to 10 minutes and go on to the next fish, and then go on to the next fish. No, I don't. Yeah, I've got the, no doubt, I've got the SX Raptor, and I've done 5 and 6 footers with that. So I don't underestimate it at all. But tuna is a whole nother ballgame of fish. In order of pound per pound fish fighting, you know, shark actually falls under redfish. Redfish actually fight harder pound for pound than a shark does. And then from there, yeah, and then there you got Jack Crevalle, then you got cobia, then you got tarpon, then you got, you know, wahoo, and then you go to amberjack, and, you know, as the scale goes up, those fish fight harder and harder and harder. Tuna is up there with marlin and mako sharks that, yeah, tuna are ferocious fighters. So, works. Well, just check back with us in like 2 weeks, and we'll see where we're at, and we'll go from there. And you know, definitely want to get it ordered before the trip, so that way you got your gear ready to go. So. Yes, sir. All right, boss. You have a good one. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So what I'm going to be doing is the shark bite section of our big rig leaders. What I have here are our long line clips that are 6 inches long and are stainless steel. They're rated for 1,250 pound test. We are also attaching them to our 480 pound cable. That is coated cable that we put a 3-foot bisection on our leaders. The reason why we don't go super heavy on our big rig leaders is because we want the cable to act as dental floss in between their teeth. We have had a lot less cutoffs in that fashion. I do this so that way the cable, when it starts to flare out, it doesn't create points that can puncture your skin. Those are very annoying. They're not very deep, but they're very annoying. I have actually used heavier cables on our big rig leaders and our drops, and have seen that with the heavier stuff we have more of a chance to get bitten off. I've actually had drops that got bit clean in half the thicker it is. The thickest I've seen anybody get cut off was actually 1/8 inch stainless steel cable. It ran like for a split second, and then it was gone. He pulled it in, and the cable was clean cut. A few years ago, actually it's been almost 10 years, something like that, pretty close to that number. If I'm off by a year or two, it's because it's been so long. I was telling customers about this technique and style and my thought principle on it, and it has worked. And then finally, one of our newest customers at that time was just getting into shark fishing. They went out and they go, "Dude, that theory you're talking about, we proved it." And I said, "How did you do that?" They actually sent us pictures of the coated cable that the teeth had penetrated in between it, and it penetrated so many times that all the strands are pretty much straight in the cable, but there was no frays in the cable itself. Like the shark wasn't able to cut through the cable. It allowed the coating that's on the stainless steel cable was actually able to open up as the tooth penetrated. The thicker cables that are there doesn't allow that to happen, so when the shark's teeth start to try to penetrate it, it actually will cut through it. And again, like I said, I've seen 800 pound, 1,000 pound, 1,500 pound cable cut in half, and or you can see where they were biting through strand by strand. And right here, I'm still using those HD crimpers right here, and we've had them for several years. What we're also doing is double crimping our coated cable here, because like I said, it's tournament time, and I don't want to take a chance at all to have the cable slip out from the crimpers right here, or when they're hooked up with it, because a lot more people are putting a lot more drag onto their fish with the type of gear that everybody's using. So yes, every single double crimp like that takes 5 crimps to get across the two sleeves that are on there. This is 1.9 double mini sleeves that we are using for these. And right here you see me doing the swivels on one side and the long line clips on the other. The swivels obviously are the swivels that we started with at the beginning of the video, of 750 pounds stainless steel, tested on that. So they're a lot smaller than what we are normally used to using from back in the day. Those would be about the size of the 250s, which were 4/0 swivels. But we are using a lot better materials and everything else than we have in the past, and we're passing it on to our customers here. So I've got Jeff on the next workstation to my left, and he's actually doing the mono sections for these leaders. We're making 30-foot leaders, and so he's asking for a few of the setups, so I'm going to pull out a few just so we can start putting together the whole leader, because he's bagging and tagging them at the same time that I'm doing these. So I'm going to knock these out, hand them over to him, and then I'll get back to doing what I'm doing of making these whole sections. I'm planning to do 50 liters with the long line clips, and that's just the bite section. Like I said, he'll be putting the leaders together and stuff like that. We'll be making them 30 footers in the 400-pound mono. We have some 650 and 700-pound mono as well. The reason why we like offering the different weight classes of line is because it helps when you are trying to leader the fish. With smaller test lines like 400-pound and stuff like that, I would highly recommend using gloves, because you are going to be fishing the beach and your hands will be a lot softer than they normally would be, because you're in and out of the water and stuff like that. Now with the 650 and 700-pound tests, we like those because even though your hands are wet and a lot softer than normally would be, you can actually go and grip them. And there you go. There's the first batch that I'm going to be handing over to him so he can attach to the leader. And again, like I said, with the thicker mono, it allows you to grip the leader without worrying about it getting a line cut into your hand and stuff like that. We've actually seen guys get gloved with 400-pound test. So this is something like, again, safety in mind when we create our leaders is something that a lot of guys who create tackle don't really think about. For us, it's all about, you know, safety for you, safety for the shark, and also being quick and efficient at releasing and everything else. The main reason we use the long line clips too is because we've had multiple people get flipped over and hooked with the hooks, even circle hooks, you know. And by having the long line clip installed on the leader, it ensures that you have a safety mechanism that's on hand with you that you can disengage without having to have tools like pliers or anything else. So it is a real nice feature to have. And again, we're prepping all these leaders for the tournament Sharkathon coming up, getting everybody ready for the big catches. I had a few guys ask me, why did I start using mono and cable in my leaders? Well, this dates back to about the 02-03 time frame, and that's when the cost of copper and stainless steel was shooting through the roof. I built my leaders old school way, all cable all the way through. However, like I said, you know, it was real expensive to build leaders with pure stainless steel. Once the cost nearly tripled in cost, I wanted to look at a way to be able to create leaders without having to use all that cable and make it really cost effective for our customers and for myself. At the time, I hadn't even started a business. I was straight building leaders for myself on the pier. But again, too, back then we lost gear just as well, and so you always had to have extras with you if you wanted to keep fishing. Well, it gets expensive. It gets real expensive, guys. This is a type of sport that's not for the faint of heart or your wallet. If you want to keep rocking and rolling the big fish, you got to keep lines in the water. And if you don't have enough line or leaders to keep rocking it, you're going to be out of the game really quick. So that's why we also teach the formula of at least 2 liters per rod per day. Is a safe bet to play with. However, during tournament time, I'll take that up to 3 or 4 liters per rod per day, because again, you know, I got to put everything I have into getting baits out and keeping as many rods out that I can legally do per tournament, because some of them don't have any rules and regulations on the amount of rods you can have, and then some do. So that's another thing you're going to have to pay close attention to in reading the rules of every tournament you get into, because some of them have limits on the amount of rods you can fish during the tournament. Other tournaments, you actually have to pay for every single rod that you take in there, and they will still have a rod limit in there. Other ones, you can pay for each rod to go in, and there is no limit. And the reason for it is just because they're trying to raise the pot as big as they can get it. So again, guys, that's very particular to each tournament, so read the rules and regulations, guys. You don't want to be caught with that one of missing a loophole that you didn't pay attention to. And it's not really a loophole, it's one of the rules that you didn't pay attention to. You know, there's don't chance a disqualification, man, because these things will haunt you for the rest of your life. If, like for me, I'm living with failing a lie detector over 10 years ago, and it still haunts me to this day. So it really sucks, guys. Don't be caught like that. Now that I've put all the sleeves on everything, now it's time to go back and crimp everything. And as you can tell with the two 1.6 double mini sleeves that I'm using there, it's taking me using these hand crimpers. I got to crimp it 5 times to be able to crimp all the way across these sleeves. Now pay close attention to this one, guys, because when you're crimping double mini sleeves on cable, you crimp all the way across. Now, doing the same thing with mono, you do not crimp the edges of the crimp. The sleeve will actually have small burrs in them, and it will actually cut your monofilament right there. We've seen it too many times, and I think I have some microscopic views of the sleeves, and actually I might have to do an up-to-date one showing that those burrs in there will cut your monofilament right there. So even though you got a good crimp on there and you put everything into it, if you do this incorrectly, it can cost you dearly. So right now I'm doing the long line clip side. Once I get that all sorted, then I'm gonna have to go back to the other side of the swivel and get it crimped up. So this has been a long day, but it's just a start. The next video I got coming out, I'll be doing the actual hook sections for the different style of circle or different sizes of hooks that we have for the tournament. We're gonna have 18s, 20s, and 24s that will be available for the tournament. Also too, a lot of stores are offering discounts on their tackle. We will match and or beat many of their pricing, so if you see something else different, be sure to let us know. And you know, a lot of them have it where you can pull it up on your phone and show the pricing of it. And we're doing this for actual tackle shops, guys. There's some guys that work out of their garage and can offer cheaper pricing, but that's gonna be on you. We're not telling you where you can and cannot spend your money. However, we can match any tackle shop that's out there that's offering discounts on their gear. We can match or beat it, and a lot of times our prices are already a lot cheaper than it, so we are no worried at all about prices that can come our way. So again, we are offering this to all of our customers. We're located at Hard Life's Bait and Tackle, 1902 South Padre Island Drive, Suite A, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78416. Call the shop. And yes, we do ship